Good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting of MSAD 75 School Board of Directors. Tonight's Thursday, March 26th. And we will get the meeting started with roll call.
Good evening. Will Agias. Here. William Beatty.
Here.
Andy Began.
Present.
Catherine Brilliant.
Here.
Jessica Damon.
Present.
Tony Goncalves.
Present.
Gregory Greenleaf.
Present.
Ashby Hayward. No, Stevie Ashby. Hudson Hayward.
Present.
Mary Hobson.
Here.
Haley Coulis.
Here.
Ryan Larson.
Here.
Jim Moulton.
Here.
Tim Pacelli. Here. Amy Spelke.
Here.
Frank Wright.
Present.
Did I miss anyone? Mary, I moved you in the location, so I didn't forget you this time.
All right, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you. Next up, we have adjustments to the agenda, and we had made a couple really quickly before, right here a few minutes ago, that you should see now, but there may be one or two others. Did you address both of your?
So yeah, we moved what was 13.8 to be 13.1, and that is marked as moved. And we're also going to move the executive session 15.1 to occur directly before 13.7. You do under new business. Does it go to 13?
Should say moved, but that was moved into that position.
Great, thank you, Jessica. So those are the two major adjustments.
Okay, and then did you have anything you wanted out of the?
I'll
Wait,
do that one
sorry,
right there.
that was a joke.
You're good.
Yeah. Yes.
I moved those adjustments.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. All right, public comment? Seeing none, we will keep moving to consent agenda. Yes, Hudson.
I'd like to pull out 5.26.
All right. We'll take that 5.26 out.
Then I move to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Wait,
Yes.
I just have a question about the consent agenda in general. I don't know if now's the time to ask it.
Sure.
I don't know when we started doing it, but I know we have a collection of resignation letters. We clarified that it's because there's a deadline. It's not that lots of people are resigning now. But we are looking at a response letter, but we don't see the resignation letters. When did we stop doing those? I know last meeting we didn't have it in there either.
The resignation letters, sometimes they're just and there's correspondence back and forth, so we don't always put everything in.
It does look like, we'll research that and follow up.
Yeah.
I understand what you're asking because I had the same question and didn't see it the way I was expecting and didn't have a chance to look into it yet. So we will research that.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? It was moved and seconded?
I moved. I don't know if it was. Okay, Frank seconded.
Frank seconded. Thank you. So all those in favor of accepting consent agenda minus 526? Opposed? Thank you. So that was accepted, and we will move on to 5.26. And Hudson, I know you'd like to address this one.
So yeah, as the lead into my comments, we approve the MSAD 75 fiscal year 2024 financial audit.
Second.
It's been seconded by Amy. So the reason I want to pull it out is just to discuss it briefly. So we all saw a early draft of the audit, I think maybe 6 weeks ago. And then this past Monday, we had a fantastic presentation from one of the auditors at the Finance Committee. She did it by a Zoom, took about 30 minutes. She included this presentation, which is in your agenda, maybe 13, 15 pages. Really great breakdown on the audit's results, our current financial health. And the overall takeaway is we're in good shape and we're pretty much exactly where Evan expected us to be. We did see some remediation recommendations, but they were essentially identical to the remediation recommendations we had from our previous audit, because that was only a few months ago, and Evan has since implemented them, but they weren't implemented for the year the audit covers. So the short answer is we're in really good shape. We're in line with what Evan is seeing with the numbers today, and so lots of positive news there.
All right, any questions? Yes, Mary.
I'm sorry, but I didn't quite understand what was happening here. So you pulled that from,
I pulled it out of the consent agenda so we could talk about it, because basically if it's in the consent
Okay.
agenda, there's no discussion.
oh,
But I just wanted to be able to give a little background on the thing. It's not that I didn't want to vote for it.
okay.
Just want to be able to give some commentary.
Okay, and we probably won't go through the whole presentation, but we'll just,
It's available if you want to, and if you've got, yeah,
Okay.
it's in the agenda, so it's available.
okay, very good. Just,
And her read through of it is in the recorded finance committee meeting from this past Monday.
okay, great.
But it was really good, and I think this model held well, which is what we used to do, where the finance committee would get a presentation and then recommend to the board. So I think,
Very good. Thank you.
And an additional celebration of our second audit, I think, in the last 12 months. So it's great. And we are almost caught up, which is going to be even better. So, all right, seeing no more, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. Thank you. Yeah, Frank?
This is procedural also, a question. If something is on the agenda like that, the consent agenda, and we want to return to it, can we?
Generally, we would prefer not to. If you want to have it taken out so we could address it, you just, when we ask for it, you ask to have that removed like Hudson did on this time.
Yep.
If we missed something though, and you want to say something about something that was on there, I would.
Well,
definitely-
there was a discrepancy on one of the field trips on the costing, whether it was going to be funded by kids or was it going to be funded by the district. And those kinds of things really ought to be just automatically taken out so we can figure that out. Because they're financial things concerning the kids. So that's just procedural in my mind. So
So just for clarity, are you saying all financial matters should be taken out or specifically one that was in question?
if there was money attached to it, it would make sense if it's concerning kids to take it. There are larger things where that would not be the case, but when it specifically talks about a field trip or paying for buses, we should be able to say, yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay, and then just for clarity, we can do that with the consent agenda. It's just if you choose not to, it helps us efficiently move through the process. Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Technically, when we approve the consent agenda, we're saying yes,
Yeah, I think,
just all at once rather than individually.
yeah.
I get that.
For, I think,
Sometimes that means if you say something and you don't know whether monies are coming out of the kids' pockets or the district, that's a problem of understanding that is really important.
Yep, gotcha. Thank you. All right, we will move on to recognitions and acknowledgements. First, we'd like to have a moment of silence for Dorothy Gardner, who was a school board member from November 16th to November 16 of 2020 through 2021. All right, thank you very much. And I'll just pause there for a minute if anybody has anything they'd like to add to that.
I think it was a long time.
It was November of 2000. Excuse me, I said 2020, didn't I? So thank you for that. It was November 16th of 2000 through 2021. So 21 years. Yeah, Frank.
Yeah, I was on the board with Dorothy, and Dorothy had a very, very wonderful take on technology, which was really delightful to listen to. And she was an amazing woman to dedicate 21 years to the efforts of the schools. I highly applauded her. And she was a really wonderful woman. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. All right, we will keep moving. Next we have recognitions and acknowledgements. And you will see in there some of the items that were called out. Just great chance to celebrate the students in the district. Sorry, I lost my spot here, so I will. All right, next is 6.3. So we would like to acknowledge the re-election of Bart Beatty and Gregory Greenlee from Harpswell, and the election of Joaquin Nuremberger from Bodenham, all to terms beginning July of 2026. Bowden, wow. Thank you. It's going to be a rough night. Everybody, please keep reckoning. Congratulations. Jeepers. Thank you. Yes, Hudson.
And I just sort of wanted to add, there were several sizable donations in our consent agenda, and I just want to thank all the people in our broader community who give financial support to our students, who give volunteer support to our students, but those donations are highly valued, and I'm very grateful for them.
Excellent. Thank you. Board announcements and correspondence. I will save what I had for board chair's report. So there we have nothing specific for that. And we'll move into reports and presentations. So first up, we have a report from the student representative.
All right. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to highlight the work that Mount Ararat's National Honor Society chapter is doing. So for the past 2 weeks, we have been conducting a Cram the Van food drive to benefit Midcoast Hunger Prevention Program. We've gotten a number of donations. We're really grateful to everyone who's donated. But we're still looking for more. So if you or your family is able to donate, we highly encourage you to do so. It runs until tomorrow, although the van of Cram the Van doesn't come until Monday, so you have a little bit of extra time. Next, I want to shout out the spring musical, Frog and Toad, which took place at the beginning of March. I had the opportunity to do crew for this show, and I'm always just so amazed by the talent on that stage. But we wouldn't be able to put on these shows and to have these great actors without the work and dedication of Mount Ararat Drama Club's director, Adam P. Play. He's been with us for 13 years. He's stepping away this year, but he is one of the wittiest and most insightful mentors that I've been lucky to know. So on behalf of all of the cast and crew of that show and everyone in the community who has been impacted by his work, I want to express our gratitude. Next, I want to highlight the work that Mount Ararat High School's music department is doing. So last week, chamber singers and treble choir visited a music festival at the Augusta State House. I was lucky enough to be a part of that, and it was a really great experience. Also last week was the high school band concert. I was there for my sister who's in middle school, but I just want to applaud the really strong music department that begins in preschool and goes all the way up until your senior year here in the district. Finally, I want to share some concern that I've heard from students and parents about or confusion over lockdown and shelter-in-place procedure at the high school. So last month, February 24th, there was a simultaneous lockdown and shelter-in-place at the high school to address two different safety concerns. So during these lockdown and shelter-in-place procedures, there is a light in every classroom that flashes to notify students and staff that a lockdown or shelter in place is going on. And additionally, it emits a low sound to also notify students and staff. However, during this time, I was in chorus class, and many of these lights are not located in central positions in the classroom, and chorus and band members were not aware of the shelter in place and lockdown that was occurring. Also, a message is supposed to appear on Promethean boards, which are located in every classroom in the school, but not every teacher has their Promethean boards turned on for the full duration of the class period. So for a number of students, they did not get these messages. So, and I've also talked to a number of teachers who say that they are unclear of the difference between a shelter in place and a lockdown. So I recognize that in these situations, everything's happening very quickly and decisions have to be made very quickly. And it was certainly an unprecedented situation. But I feel that we can better prepare students and staff for these situations in the future. So from hearing from staff and students, I would recommend more clearly defining the differences between shelter in places and lockdowns, and reviewing these procedures on a more regular basis, not just at the beginning of the year. So this is primarily a school-wide issue, but the reason that I'm bringing it to the board today is because if it's happening at the high school, I'm concerned that students and staff might be unsure of the policy in their school in the district. So that is everything I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Will, and thanks for articulating that concern very well. I appreciate that. Any questions? All right, seeing none, we will hand it to Heidi, I believe, for the superintendent's report.
So I do want to address that concern because we were aware of that when it was happening. And we have a district safety team that meets monthly, as well as the high school, and each school have their own safety teams. And we knew that there were some technical difficulties with some of our systems, and I believe that Darren and Dr. Hoffman have all, with Nick Riggi, our technology director, have fixed the problem. And so it was good that we were made aware of that. It was a very scary situation. And I've spoken with our association, Teachers Association. We talked about this as well. And so we do have some pretty solid safety protocols in place. And sometimes technical difficulties do happen, but we hope that doesn't happen again. So we are on top of it, Will, and you can let folks know that. And we spoke about it at our last safety meeting as well, and making sure that those types of things are not happening. And we spoke about it at our district leadership team and principals council as well, and made sure that we're all on the same page about that. So that's that. And then also I wanted to talk a little bit about, Evan's going to come up and talk about the financial report, but there were a few things that I got to attend over the last couple of weeks, which were the district music concert was amazing. I did introduce folks to that, to the kids and the teachers, and wow, was that incredible. It was held here at the high school, and the fifth grade band played first. And remember, they just started to learn to play instruments in the fifth grade, some of them. And I thought they were extremely good for just learning. And so all the way through the whole entire thing, I couldn't see the very last song or hear the very last song, but amazing, great turnout. It was lovely to see all the community there. I also got to stop over at Woodside, and Mr. Mike Langley, who is our custodian there, had his operation of maple syrup making outside. And I had to be a tester, as you know. I like that sugar. So it was delicious, and I do believe that he sells it there still. Is that right, Rick?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably can't be heard on the camera, but yes.
Yes, so on
Saturday, market craft fair.
yeah, so
2 p.m.
go
8 to 2 p.m.
you, 8 to 2 p.m.
8 to 2 p.m. on Saturday. Come and get some. You will not be disappointed. I asked them next time, just have some pancakes because that would have been perfect. And we did have the big WOW presentation, performance that was here as well. I only got to see pictures of that, but I've heard lots and lots of good stories about it. And so I just love to highlight all the great things that are happening in this district. We should be so proud. And I'm going to have Evan come up and talk about his financial report.
All right, thank you. So the overall bottom line, we have expended, this is at the end of February, 54% of our budget. 8 months into our fiscal year, that would mean we would be 66% of the way through, but because we're at 54, we can see that there are some savings there. The major category is our our personnel costs, which represents almost 75% of our budget. We were only 53.9% of the way through that category. And that largely those savings there goes to unfilled positions, positions that we need and positions that we substitute for. But overall, we have extra money in our health insurance line, which is great to see. And we should see some savings there at the end of the year. So overall, we're in really good position right now at the end of February for the financial health of the district. And the remaining budget as of the end of February was $7.4 million. And that will go down. We do have some bond obligations to pay and other things throughout the end of the year, but we're in a really good spot. The other thing on my financial report was to talk about the Tech Defenders piece of information that is attached there. So I don't know if you all remember I think it was either July or August, we were seeking approval to dispose of the old MacBook computers that were used at the high school. Part of policy DJA disposal procedure is that we have to offer publicly the disposal to town folks, specifically town managers, clerks, and then folks of the public. So we have the opportunity to save 10% on the MacBooks that were collected by Tech Defenders, and the code is MSAD 10 for 10% off. So I figured this is the public announcement of that program. So
Yeah, Hudson.
Will we maybe send that out to the school community, like by a parent square or something like that, just so a little more official? Cool, because I think it's a good deal.
absolutely.
Any other questions for Evan? All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the board's chairs report. So I just had a couple of updates I wanted to share. First is, I know this year we started the athletic ad hoc committee. It's been doing some great work. I think reviewing some policies, helping bring some policies forward and various things. That sounds like there's a chance that by roughly the end of this fiscal year, that may be in a place that if, as an ad hoc committee, it's ready to wrap up. I don't want to speak ahead of myself, but potentially. And the thought that I had is just, through looking at different challenges and things that we're experiencing in the district, the concept of maybe some kind of substance abuse committee or some an additional kind of a new ad hoc committee that could tackle a subject for a year or something like that is a concept that seemed interesting to me. And so I'm not here to propose that yet. I'm just here to share the thought kind of today and see if I see more yeses than no. So maybe we'll keep talking about this and dig into it and then bring it back for more of an official discussion in the future. But it just feels like there may be these ongoing things that we could figure out a way to tackle or devote a little extra board committee time to. So that was item one. And then the second item that I have is it's going to be, this is a vague announcement, but it's really a placeholder announcement for everybody, and we'll be able to provide more information in not too distant future, but I think April 13th, we will likely have a board special meeting, and we'll provide more information when that gets settled. But I just wanted to share that with you now so that if you're planning your calendars or things that you can, if that's available now, try to lock it down, and we will communicate as quickly as we can once we know more. So, all right. And moving on from that is committee reports. So first we have the CIA, Jim.
Thanks, Ryan. The CIA committee meeting on the 12th had to do wholly with the report on the K-8 literacy pilot. And will, further on in the agenda, will be looking for a board vote on the adoption of Fish Tank as the K-8 literacy program. So we've added into the onboard document the slides which Amanda used to bring us up to date on the, not only the process, but, and we are so clear, the call for improvement in literacy. And it was the data. It was a combination both of the teachers, the participants across the district, enjoying the tool itself, but also the data that it returned. So in the slides, if you go to page, it's numbered 197. We did not see 196 pages in front of this, but it is a multicolored slide. And what Amanda drew our attention to, there are 3 grade levels here, grade 3, 4, and 5. And this trend appeared across all the grade levels involved in the literacy program. But you can look at 2024, 25, and 26. And the one to pay attention to, because we've got is that winter red bar at the bottom, the at-risk students, and the clear effort on the part of the district, the educators, and of course, not only in literacy, but to reduce that number of students who are identified as at risk and move them into areas of achievement. So with the uniform utilization of Fish Tank, the expectation is that, because you'll have the program, but the teachers will talk to each other. Ideas of this is how I did, this is what I did, because there will be tweaks. There will be, teaching is an art, not an algorithm. And we have every reason to believe that this, in fact, perhaps those red bars will shrink even more as kids become more familiar with the program and go on year to year. It really was a wonderfully, and I have to say to Amanda, that it dealt not only with this data, but also the reports, the anecdotal reports from the field, the teacher's response to it, et cetera. There are, and the budgetary implications, those are included in here as well, that are built into the budget, the superintendent's budget going forward for this year. There will also be a continuation of the phonics program. That foundational component of literacy stays in place. Again, the teachers, not only those involved in the pilots of these, but across K-8 literacy, the phonics is critically important. That was our meeting, and it got a thumbs up from universally from the committee with a suggestion that the committee is in support of adoption. That vote will come later in tonight's meeting. Any questions?
Yeah, Jessica?
Yeah, you said the committee, the review members gave it a universal thumbs up? And that was?
That's correct.
Slide on 207 I'm looking at, Bowdoin Central, Williams, all the school representatives there.
207.
Is that what?
No, the committee, the CIA committee.
The CIA
We heard this report. But again, the feedback from across the district, both Bowdoin Central and all, but it was the CIA committee I was referring to,
Okay.
giving it a thumbs up.
And so the ELA committee review members referred it to CIA. Obviously,
Absolutely.
That was a process. And the sentiment from the review committee was that teaching staff liked this program as well.
That is correct.
A good thumbs
And
up
in
from
part,
all
not
people.
only the process, the online access to the tools and the resources, but also, and most importantly, the results.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jim.
Yep.
Next up, we have facilities.
All right, thank you, Ryan. We had 2 meetings since the last board meeting, so I'll try to update quickly. So one of our meetings, we hadn't talked about, capital planning much because of the facility master plan efforts. So if anybody wants to look at our expenditures in fiscal year 26, all you have to do is go back in time on our facility meeting on the 12th and take a look. Sean posted a couple of documents on there that would be helpful. Not asking you to do it in this meeting, but if you're curious what we're spending money on, it's safety, security items, door hardware, PA systems, fire alarm systems, ADA improvements, things like that. A lot of other mechanical upgrades and maintenance. So we've spent about $500,000 out of a $600,000 budget. And I believe he's still working to chew up the rest of that for this year. As far as fiscal year 27, he has a budget, and that is also posted on that same meeting for the 12th. So if you want to see detail in there, he has engineering, architecture efforts in there for a variety of things that he's trying to push forward. There's the Bowdoin as some space upgrades. There's various site work that's happening. These are not, these don't conflict with our master plan efforts. These are things that need to be done outside of that anyway. Fire alarm improvements, he's going to keep doing more security upgrades, ADA bathroom, heaters, boilers, things like that. So that document's in there as well. And then the big news from all of our meetings is obviously the facility master plan. Harriman's been doing a great job for us trying to narrow down options. We've had 3 forums with the community. We had a workshop as a full board. We've got 3 options on the table. The meeting that we had today, Sean put some documents attached to that show what those 3 options are and the costs associated. And the committee still had some conversation around, well, what if we add this other option? What about this other option? So, you can tell we're kind of going off the rails on ideas because we know it's a lot of money and we know the community is going to see it as a lot of money. Where our options right now range from 85 million to I think 145 million, depending on what we do to take care of our community schools and our administrative offices, building 376 and the transportation building. So we're either renovating or ripping down and building new in those various options. But some of the soft costs to get us there, to get us to referendum, there's about 476,000 that we have to spend just to get to referendum to make, these big decisions. So we're going to start scheduling some forums with the communities. And, part of what we do as a committee and a board, some of the suggestions that came out is that we have to start meeting with our town select boards and, start having these conversations so we can, try to feel our communities out and see what the flavor is out there for some of these big upgrades. So anyway, so this meeting that we had tonight, we were trying to identify how do we budget, the 476,000. So we're going to try to split it over 2 years, fiscal year 27 and 28, go to referendum fall of 28. So Sean's going to do some creative thinking with Heidi and see how we can get there. I think there's a way to shuffle a few things around to maybe not do as much capital or, take something away in another area. So more to come on that. Sorry, just looking through my notes. We talked about the pavilion at the high school. This came to us a while ago, just giving you an update. We've already voted to move it forward, but the structure has been ordered. They're still hoping for an April install with Region 10. And if it carries over into the fall, then, that's how it'll happen. But they have to take the site plan application to the Thompson Planning Board to get that approved. So that might slow things down just a little bit, but shouldn't be a problem. And then the $9 million bond that did the building envelope for MAMS. We have spent so far 8.3 million of that 9. And so we have about 682 left. And Sean had requested to do some upgrades on the middle school entrance, access control system and door hardware, and security needs for 40,000. So he got a thumbs up on that. And we're going to start doing a little bit of site design for the roadway between Can-Am Drive towards the high school. It kind of is the road that goes right by adult ed. It's in rough shape, so we're going to start evaluating that to see if that's another way to utilize some of that site money. Anyway, I've talked a lot, and I've probably not said enough in some other areas. So does anybody have any questions?
All right, thank you, Andy. Next policy.
Like facilities, we've had 2 meetings since our last full board meeting. At our February meeting, we tackled basically just 2 topics. Chris Hoffman came and talked about graduation requirements with us, and we invited members of the CIA committee. So Jim was there, which was great. And the conversation basically ended with us asking to see Dr. Hoffman present 3 different things to the CIA committee in the future. One would be, he discussed, one of the impetus to all this is that the arrangement with Region 10 has changed such that some of the Region 10 classes count as prereqs here at Mount Airy. That's the way the other districts involved with Region 10 do it as well. As opposed to our current policy, which sort of forgives some prereqs dependent upon your enrollment level at Region 10. So that's great news. Policy committee says that sounds great, and we just wanted Dr. Hoffman to present what that matchup looks like to CIA so they get some visibility. And then regarding other potential changes to graduation requirements, the other 2 things that the policy committee would be interested in the CIA committee hearing were the world culture and languages requirement that would replace one of the electives that Chris Hoffman was interested in and that we were very supportive of. And the other one would be some kind of a multi-year community service requirement. And we didn't have any specifics sort of beyond that, but would be interested in hearing some noodling on that. So the hope is that we can, even if the policy is not fully adopted by August, we're in a position where it's clear that the incoming freshman class can sort of know what their graduation expectations will be. But it was really great. It was a fun joint conversation delving into this policy specifics, the curriculum sort of level specifics about what does it mean to be a requirement. It was really great. We talked a bunch then about KFR, our facilities fee procedure document, and that carried over into our second meeting, where we mostly finalized our work, and now Heidi is working with a few final steps in the admin to make sure there's nothing that we've overlooked, and she's going to be socializing it with our town leaderships to make sure that they have, to get whatever feedback they may have. Yeah, we had a good conversation. One of the things that we've been trying to determine the best way to accomplish is the affiliated groups that aren't municipal necessarily, like Mary Meeting Soccer, sort of an easy one, and they came and spoke to us, you may remember, at public comment a while back, specifically. So the best way to do that, and we're leaning towards, instead of a board-driven process, an admin-driven process with some, frameworks in place. So that's looking really good. We should have that in place soon, and I think the committee can contradict me if necessary, that we're accomplishing the goals, and we're trying to address the needs as we heard them, very loudly in the fall. The last sort of agenda item that the largest agenda item we discussed was IJJ, following our workshop. This is at our last meeting. And this meeting was less productive in terms of output, but very productive in terms of conversation, because following the workshop, it just so happens that there's still some divided opinion in the committee, in no small part because we had some members of the admin present with us. Amanda was there at our meeting, expressing their desire to sort of maintain the board approval. So we had a good long conversation about it. We did not do any wordsmithing, and at our next meeting, I think we'll actually do some wordsmithing, and the committee will have some opinions, and not everybody may agree perfectly, but I think we're going to be working together really well on bringing some sort of adjustment forward, and we'll see where that is and let the board have at it, I think. So it was good. It was a great conversation. It's kind of stuff that I cherish. So that's policy.
Any questions? All right, you're up again, finance man.
That's me. We had many meetings. It's budget season. It's meeting season for the finance committee. We have heard the superintendent's proposed budget. We have presented in all of our communities. We had mixed turnout as always. We had low turnout in Harpswell. We had moderate turnout in Topsom. We had pretty good turnout in Bowdoin, I would say, this year. The pattern is different every year, so that's what it was this year. The comments we heard, I would say, were not particularly surprising. They're the comments we hear frequently, which are we supporting the students adequately? And how can we reduce property taxes? And I'm simplifying, obviously. There was much conversation, but I think those two buckets are the cleanest ones. We began our deliberations this past Monday on the budget. The current superintendent's proposed budget is a 6.1% increase. We are well in line with a lot of our neighboring districts at that number. We do face a challenge that our community tax increases are higher than that, though. So that's part of the challenge. But we've had a lot of good meetings. We've gotten good feedback. The committee charged Heidi and Evan with some questions and some information that we wanted to see this coming Monday when we're scheduled to finish deliberations to bring a recommendation to the board at our April meeting. And as a reminder, there will be the budget hearing, which is not part of the regular board meeting. It's a separate thing at 6 o'clock that night, where the budget as recommended out of the finance committee will be presented by Heidi and Evan. There'll be an opportunity for questions, and then at 6:30 we'll roll into our regular meeting, and during that regular meeting we will vote to adopt that budget later on. So that's sort of finance. The end is in sight for this cycle. March is a lot of meetings.
Can I add something? I noticed today that on the board calendar, that April 9th budget hearing says finance meeting. So I don't know if procedurally that doesn't adequately describe to the public what it is, I don't think. Yeah, so we should just change it to say budget hearing.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. Yeah. Thank you. That's a good note. I had not looked at that entry.
What's that?
I hadn't looked at that calendar entry, so that's good. But yeah, it's been good. The finance committee's been working really hard. The admin's been working really hard, and I've been grateful for the public feedback that we've got.
Mary?
Talk about this later, but I have trouble getting onto the site of policy. I don't know why.
Okay, I can take a look at that with you. Of course.
All right, we will keep this moving. Next up, we have Region 10 Cooperative Board.
The board meeting of March 16th, most importantly that we heard inductees to the National Technical Honors Society from Mount Ararat, as well as Brunswick High School. Quite a list. Just having gotten the minutes, and these are not finalized minutes yet of that meeting, so I hesitate to put them out, but when finalized, those should be listed in the consent agenda to recognize those folks. Staffing issues, but the big conversation was around the budget, and the vote was made to move that forward. The numbers moving forward, and this, I'm looking, there it is. So the portion from MSAD 75, the total, Brunswick, 507,052. MSAD 75, $484,071, and RSU 5, $337,282. And again, like all of the conversations, finance, keeping things, making sure that value is delivered to the kids. Expectations of staff remain strong, and doing what it can be done to hold the budget in line.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Jim. First item up in old business is to consider action to approve a second reading and adoption of proposed revisions to existing policy IHBAC, child find.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you all. And we are going to move into new business and start with, I think, the highlight of the evening, maybe. And with that, I'll hand it to you, Heidi. Actually, do we need to take a motion on this probably?
I would move to appoint a principal to Harpshore Community School beginning July 1st, 2026.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, so now we are in order. Thank you.
It's always so exciting to do this process. So it is with great pleasure and complete confidence that I introduce Bridget Ortiz, who is here in our crowd right now, as the next principal of Harpswell Community School. Having worked alongside Bridget for many years, I've watched her master every role she has held with a rare combination of strength and compassion. Her journey to this leadership position is a testament to her work ethic. She transitioned from a career as a military analyst to education, continually sharpening her skills and earning her leadership certifications while never losing sight of her mission. Supervisors consistently describe Bridget as the voice of reason. She is the person you turn to for a solid, grounded perspective, especially in high pressure situations. Where others might see an emergency, Bridget offers a calm, steady hand and a clear path forward. As part of the final interview process, I asked each candidate 8 critical questions. Bridget's responses stood out because she placed the student at the center every single answer. She possesses a sophisticated ability to balance empathy with accountability, understanding that a duty of care applies to both her students and her staff. Bridget is a passionate advocate for instructional leadership. You will see her in classrooms, not to evaluate, but to partner with teachers and deeply understand the learning environment. She is a self-reflective leader who believes that a culture of acceptance is built through high visibility and open doors. She lives by a simple but powerful motto: they are all our kids. Bridget understands how much community matters to the families and staff of Harpswell. She is ready to be a present, open-minded partner who listens first. Her goal is clear: to ensure that Harpswell Community School offers as many opportunities and as much support as any other school in the district, all while fostering a unified, inclusive culture. Please join me in welcoming Bridget Ortiz to her new home at Harpswell Community School.
Bridget, you do not need to say anything, but you are welcome to if you'd like to.
don't want to talk too loud. I just want to say thank you so much for the vote of confidence. And I owe so much to this district. I've been here since I retired from the Navy. And I was welcomed with open arms, and people have trained me, Heidi and Amanda and Rick Dudek, of course, Chris Hoffman, Amy Hall. I mean, I could go on for hours, Chris Lajoie. And I just want to say thank you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
And in our exuberance, we do have one more thing to do, which is vote, so. Yes. Mary.
Way back in the day, and she showed right from the get-go, she's an inspiration to all the teachers everywhere. So that's surprising, glad.
All right, any more comments? No. So all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous, Bridget. Thank you and welcome to your new role here this fall. I don't think we need to. You don't need to. No, that's fine. All right, 13.2 is to consider action to approve a limited temporary waiver of policy file GBCC, employee use of cell phones to permit the staff members as listed to communicate with parents and guardians in emergency or urgent trip-related situations.
I would like to make a motion, but I want to adjust it a little bit based on some feedback we got, and we'll be able to talk about it. So I would like to move the motion as written, but also include limited exceptions to policy JICJ, student use of cell phones and other electronic devices as determined by the trip chaperones, because there's possibilities that student phone contact may be important for safety.
Second.
All right, so that is what we have on the floor. So any discussion? Yes, Mary.
Curious, look, I mean, this looks like it's a waiver, and I just wonder, it seems that you have all these specific people on there named, and I wondered if it was a general category we could put people under instead of trying to name, like you just don't know, and I don't know, it just seems like you're trying to foretell who the future holds, and we just, I don't know.
Totally, and if you don't mind,
Yeah, I
Ryan,
think
so
you
the
got it.
policy committee looked at this very briefly. We didn't spend any time to make a recommendation, but we plan on revising our policies to make this process a little easier in the future, because there are circumstances like this where cell phone use is not an inappropriate thing. And actually, Dr. Hoffman's available to sort of talk at length sort of about how we put together that motion.
Yeah, I think just a little bit of detail about the situation. I think, as you may well know, we adopted a new policy around employee cell phone use. And I think very appropriately, that policy is intended to prevent contact between students and staff and parents and staff. But there are situations like what we're going to have happen in April, where we have a large group of our students traveling to Greece. And we looked into other solutions, but it felt like the best, most prudent way to allow for contact between students and chaperones. All of the names here are staff members who are also chaperones on this trip. And those students are organized. We have a large trip going to Greece. There are about 70 of our students, and therefore quite a lot of staff members, as well as other parent travelers also going who are not formally chaperones. These are the chaperones, and they are all Minot High School staff members as well. And so each of the students is organized in a group with a defined chaperone member. And we want to be able to provide those students the opportunity to contact. Most students will be traveling with a cell phone themselves. And we want to be able for them to contact their chaperone if they need to in an emergency situation, and for those chaperones to potentially contact the parents of those students if they need to while on the trip. That's what this exception is about. Hope that provides some context.
Yeah, Jim.
The way I read this, the last sentence, to communicate with parents and guardians. Rather, it doesn't speak directly.
Correct. And I think so the process of getting to this motion, I think I reached out to Heidi, and I'll take responsibility for that. I think our hope was that the motion could capture students as well, because I had left that out of my original communication and noticed it this evening and brought it to.
Absolutely critical. So
I think.
So I would offer to amend my motion if my second is amenable to offer a limited waiver of policies GBCC and JICJ for the students and staff involved with the April 2026 Greece trip as to be determined by the administration.
Yeah, and so just to be clear, just to provide a little bit of additional information, Allison Gilbert is one of the staff member chaperones and also the primary trip coordinator. She and I have met a number of times. She's explained the communication plan to me. I'm confident that, this would be used during the trip only, not before and not after, and only for urgent or emergency, trip-related communications.
Did you second that adjustment, Kim? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded with that adjustment. In seeing no other questions, I'll wait 1 second to make sure. All those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous, so thank you.
Thank you.
Have them come back with photos.
Yeah.
No kidding, 70
Plenty of
people.
photos. We also have a smaller group traveling as a part of our exchange program to Spain. They don't need the same exception because they have, they're staying with host families largely with easier access to communication tools, but lots of travel happening this April vacation for our students. And yes, we can share some pictures.
Next up, we have 13.3 to consider action to approve the adoption of the fish tank curriculum for immediate implementation as presented in the supporting documentation for the school year.
So move.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. I know Jim gave us a bit of an update earlier. If you have anything you'd like to add or questions maybe anybody had in the interim? Mary?
I just wanted to add that the lower band of struggling students has decreased. So this is also really a boon for limiting the number of identified special ed students, because it's really starting from day one to help these readers get on board and get strong with their reading in a foundational way that will hopefully limit the special ed identification numbers to help with that in terms of the budget. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? All right, so all those in favor? Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you to the Amanda and your team and all the work, and thank you to all the teachers. I know it was probably an interesting year at times to get through all this, and it was a lot of hard work, but it's showing great results, so thank you for all of that. And Heidi says you can go home if you want. All right, next up, we have to consider action to approve the implementation of a bus driver recruitment and referral incentive program.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Heidi or Evan, would you like to add some thoughts?
Yeah, so bus driver recruitment continues to be an ongoing issue, not just for this district or statewide, but actually it's a national issue. We've been trying to come up with creative ways to hire and recruit drivers. It's a specific CDL credential that you need to have. So it's a bit specialized, and we're just seeing right now we have 4 open positions. We went from 22 bus runs down to 21. One of our drivers just left in the last month, so we've combined routes. Makes it a bit challenging on our transportation department to fulfill their operations. They rely on a substitute driver most days, and if not, they're using buildings and grounds personnel either in the morning or the afternoon, and sometimes both. We are also looking at 4 retirements for this coming year. 3 bus drivers and 1 van driver. So that would leave us with vacancies of 6 positions, which would be a 16% unfilled rate within our transportation department. So the proposal is to establish a bus driver recruitment and referral incentive program. to attract qualified new bus driver candidates, encourage employee participation in recruitment efforts, to improve retention through milestone-based payouts, and reduce operational disruption by staffing shortages. So there would be two proposed incentives here. Would be the first would be the new hire bus driver incentive, and it would be a bonus of $1,500, be paid out on the first day of $750, and then $750 upon successful completion of the 120-day probationary period, and then $750 upon completion of a 1-year continuous employment period. And that would just ensure that we would have longevity. We wouldn't have someone come to collect their bonus and then leave us. The second would be an employee referral program, and that would be $500. So $250 after the employee successfully refers a bus driver and they complete that 120-day referral period, and then a $250 after the referred employee completes 1 year of employment. This would be paid out of the Transportation Department's budget. Currently, they have $120,000 in salary line that has been unused because of driver shortages. So this referral program would easily be captured underneath that salary line. And the outcomes that we hope would be increased number of qualified drivers, improved hiring success rates, employee engagement, reduced service disruptions and operational strain, and then long-term staffing stability.
Any questions? Bus drivers will not be yellow, but go for it.
I will not ask about the color of the buses this time. I believe they're all yellow. So, no, my question is, I've got two questions actually. The first, is there like an end date to this, or is this just an incentive program that starts now and goes forever?
Maybe, and I'm not sure that we've really put an end date on it because we continue to see turnover within this department. I would assume that maybe once all the positions are filled, that it could be turned off, but.
Okay. The other, is there any conflict with this, with their contracts? Don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have to
Did
go back to those negotiations again.
Yeah, we
Okay.
talked about that because they're in the same contract as others, and we met with the association and did discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Thanks.
I know a few years ago, we had an incentivized system too for continuous days of work and things that was run through the system, and while different, would probably be similar, and that was okay. Yeah.
I don't know if this is the appropriate forum to ask, but you brought up the shortage in general. And do we have ideas why there is a shortage? And is it a budget issue? Is it I know it's a national shortage. Are people going into the private sector? What's the driver?
I think that it's just, in general, the times that everybody across the country is seeing the same thing. And whether I don't think it's pay, because other districts keep raising the pay. You know, they're offering benefits, they're offering bonuses. I mean, I think with a lot of jobs right now, we're not filling them. And so I think we're not any different than anybody else, but we have to think a little bit differently to be able to bring those folks in. And so it's not any specific pinpoint of what it is, except that it's a hard job, probably, you know?
I guess part of the reason I was asking is I've been saying since, probably 15 years now that, to your point about what a difficult job it is, that it would be really great to see if we could drum up some support from the community to put adults on the bus during bus runs, like volunteer grandparents, volunteer folks that have part-time jobs. So just planting a seed now. This is obviously not the moment to discuss it thoroughly, but that might help this goal as well as behavior issues on the bus.
Yeah, I think that it's good. I agree with you. And many of our buses actually have bus aids already on them. I mean, same thing that you're saying. So whenever there's a need for that, we staff our buses with extra support.
Quickly, I would second that too. Just, I actually spoke with Heidi about a week ago about an incident that I witnessed on the way to school that I felt terrible for the bus driver and would not want to be in a situation like that myself, seeing the behavior on the bus, and he's a tremendous bus driver, did everything exactly right, but it was a difficult situation, and I think we need to probably explore ways to help alleviate some of those challenges. So very good point. Yeah. All right. So any more questions about this proposal?
If they weren't yellow.
All right. All those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Evan.
Yep.
I believe you may be staying there for the next one. So to consider action to approve the fiscal year 2024 fund balance transfers authorized under Articles 23, 25, and 26 in the fiscal year 2025 warrant
We
articles.
skipped one.
Yeah.
13.5.
Thank you. I saw buses when I was scrolling, and thank you, both.
I would, sorry, go ahead.
What's that?
I was gonna make the motion if you wanted.
I'll just begin again and move back to 13.5 and correct myself. To consider a transfer of funds within warrant 9, transportation and buses as listed.
So moved.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded. I don't know that you were planning to say anything to this.
We have a little bit of extra money in our capitalized equipment line that we don't think we'll tap into this year. I've talked extensively with Tom Kane about this, and we are seeing supplies for general transportation. That's everything from shop towels, just general supplies in their office. The budget wasn't sufficient enough when the fiscal year started, so they need a little bit of extra money from another line. And then same with hard consumables. Those are things like windshield wipers. Those costs of things continue to go up. So if we take $7,000, we split it into those two lines, it'll get us through the end of the year.
All right. Any questions? Yeah, Jim.
I know it's not here. When I first saw this, consumables, I think of fuel. Everything's under contract. The global situation, fuel prices through the roof. How's that impacting us?
So Tom Kane and I are actively looking at that. We did say that we were going to start pulling our fuel invoices that we get from March onward. We've already started to do that, and we're going to compare them to what we've been spending in previous months. We have really good visibility into the fuel that we're spending. We get the fuel tickets on a weekly basis, so we're actively tracking that stuff, and we're going to see how that carries out throughout this period of elevated fuel cost. As I've been saying, when we retire this next round of school buses, we'll be using less diesel, which is a higher cost fuel. So we should see a little bit more, not price certainty, but at least consistency with our fuel pricing from month to month, just because we'll be using mostly unleaded gasoline instead of both diesel and gasoline.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Mary.
I'm not sure this is the right place to bring this up, but I just want to remind us that there was a grant for electric buses for a while there, and I don't know where that stands right now, but certainly in this environment, this would be one where we would want to explore some of those options in a way that we could plan ahead to figure this out. Because if it was money that we could get for free, which was the case, then I don't know what happened to that. Do you know what happened to that grant that we were going to?
And I don't, if you,
Much time to keep that on file, if you will. And so I don't know the specific details right off the top of my head tonight, Mary, but we'll check into that and get back to you.
I think that would be a prudent thing to be looking at this point. Thank you.
any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that was unanimous. Thank you. And now to 13.6. To consider action to approve the fiscal year 2024 fund balance transfer is authorized under Articles 23, 25, and 26 in the fiscal year 2025 warrant articles in amounts listed.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, Evan, can you provide a little insight on this one?
Absolutely. So when we put together the 2025 warrant articles, we had established capital reserve accounts. And this would be if we had money left over in our fund balance, in our unassigned fund balance at the end of the fiscal year 2024, and the audit proved that we had enough money there, we would be able to move that money into these capital reserve accounts. So we have 3 capital reserve accounts that we have and that are outlined here in this transfer. So we have the capital reserve for school construction and capital improvement. That was Article 23. And when the warrant article said that we could move up to $200,000. The second one is an $85,000 transfer into the regular instruction reserve fund. That was Article 25. And then up to $100,000 to the special education reserve fund. And that was for costly out-of-district placements. Can be a surprise on the districts. We wanted to have money set aside in the event that we did have a situation like we did in 2024 where we had a lot of high out-of-district placements.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Now we will move to the adjustment that we have that was not noted in onboard, but that is to move to our executive session, which is pursuant to 1 MRS subsection 4056D to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations with the technology professionals bargaining unit.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's unanimous. So we are now in executive session. When we come out, we will have a couple of items to vote on that will be outputs from this, and then we'll be adjourning. So if anybody's here that steps out and when you'd like to be here for those votes, please stay by. And if not, we will catch you next time. We will take a couple minutes break. Yeah, please. So I'm going to assume we're back then. We were fine with that 10 seconds and we're good. Okay. All right. So we are back in regular session. Moving on, we have item 13.7, which is to consider action to approve adding main PERS to the technology contract as written.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you. 13.8, to consider action to approve the technology contract for 7/1/2026 through 6/30/2029.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you. The calendar and announcements are attached in the exhibit. And with that, we are adjourned.